Hi, Tricia here. So this lesson is all about graphite pencils. We're going to take a look at them and we're going to find out what is the difference between all these different numbered pencils, what do the numbers mean, and how the different marks that they create might be used for different parts of our drawing. So we're going to take a look at that now. Okay, our pencils are made of two things. They're made of clay and they're made of graphite. And those are our two things that our pencils are made up of. And depending on the amount of clay that is in them or the amount of graphite, whichever one is the most, will depend what sort of grade of pencil we've got. So let's start with a bog standard HB pencil. So I've got two there. It says quite clearly HB on our pencil there. So HB pencil. Right, there we go. And if you just pick up a pencil and it doesn't really say anything on because it's not specifically a sketching pencil, it's just one found in a cupboard somewhere, chances are it's a HB pencil. Right, let's have a good hard press. There we go, get a bit lighter. So we can create some nice lines. It's not going blunt too quickly, so it's about middleish here. Okay, so let's go down with more clay. So as we go down, we go to H, which I don't have, unfortunately. I had a search around and I couldn't find one. And then it goes to 2H. So you can already see my 2H is quite a lot lighter. There's less graphite and there's more clay in here. I'll press quite hard. And a little lighter. So I get a nice crisp line. It's quite a hard line. It's quite a scratchy line. You can see how this one has just broken up a little bit. This one isn't. Okay, so we should get a 3H, but I've got right down to a 4H. So we should have a 3H in there somewhere. So you might have one of those. So can you hear that? It's really scratchy. A really fine line as well, really thin line, so I can get lots of really thin lines out of this. It's going to stay sharp for quite a long time because it's got more clay in it. And the last one I've got is a 6H. Oh dear me, sorry, is a 6H. So there should be a 5H in there somewhere and then 6H. I'll press quite hard there and then lighter. Oh, there we go. So quite a scratchy mark there, and that's it. Now it does go down to 9H, but I don't think I've ever seen anything less than a 6H, to tell you the truth. So, you know, if you've got something like 7, 8 or 9H, then wow. But those are our H's. So the more we go along there, the more clay is in it and the less graphite. So let's go this way. So this way, you can already see I've got a load more in here. So let's go through these. So what have I got here? B pencils. I really haven't got a preference in the pencils because the grade should be the same. I'm really just looking to see which one's a little bit sharper. B. So that was our HB, so we should have slightly more graphite and a little less clay. And that. Okay, and then our next one is 2B. Let's have a look there. 2B. Yep. That one's a nice sharp one there. 2B, so more graphite again. You might not notice just one jump to one jump, but if you jump a couple, you'll really see the difference. Pressing hard and then soft. Don't is that, oh, I have got a 3B. Got a 3B. I have to squeeze this one in. I'm gonna 3B. Hmm. 4B. So this one's definitely already a bit blunt. Let's have a look. This one's a 4B as well. So let's see. Look how dark that is now in comparison. And even though my lead is sharp, look what a crumbly line I'm getting. Very different, especially from here. 5B. What have I got? 6B. 6Bs. Oops. Okay, I haven't got a 7B. I'm sure I've got one somewhere, and it's probably a good job because I took up too much space this side, so I've only got a little space here. 8B this is. Press really hard. And then soft. And then the last one that I've got is 9B. Got a little, I don't think either's sharper really. 9B. So this is just graphite to the max. This is hardly any clay, just a tiny little bit, just holding it together. Press hard and press soft. Okay, so that's my different grades of pencil there. So HB is my middle, my bog standard one. There is a sneaky pencil, which you sometimes get in a set, which is an F. And I'm going to pop that in here. F, very similar to HB. Yeah. When I was at college, I don't ever remember there being an F. But you get them in packs nowadays. They're much more of an architectural pencil, actually, rather than the sketching one. But so I don't know why they're putting them in packs now. But they're there just to confuse us, I think, and just to non-conform, just for fun. So our middle is a HB. Right, and most people have probably got a HB pencil rolling around the house somewhere. Right, when we go down this side, let me get my thing here. When we go down this way into the H pencils, more clay, much more clay, less graphite in them. When we go this way, way more graphite and less clay in them. Okay? So one of the things that we're going to notice is if we try and move the graphite around off the surface, I don't know if you can just see, it's just very slightly where I've pressed hard. There it is, it's going now. And you see I'm slowly blending that So I'm getting it on my finger now. I'll leave that one and I'll come on the side of here. It will blend as well. It's just I hadn't thought about my space enough. Let's come over here to our 8. Let's come into our 9 now. I mean, we can drag these 8s and 9s for miles if we wanted to. So the more graphite there is, the more that you can pull off the surface and the more that you can blend your marks. So later on when we talk about blending, and there'll be another video about mark making, you'll be able to see how you can use that blending technique. So let's try with our rubber now and see how this works. Now, let's have a talk about rubber. So putty rubber, yeah, like that. Starts off like that, and then not long after you use it, it goes like that, all black, and feels like it's icky, but look, it's quite clean. So a putty rubber is mainly for things that create a lot of dust, so charcoal, pastels, things like that. You can use it for graphite, but putty rubbers are much more for sort of rubbing and lifting off the surface and catching the dust, and then you roll the dust into it and it captures it inside. The best thing for a pencil is just a plastic eraser. So here's one. Yeah, it's just a bog standard one. There it is out the packet. There's a kid's one. So any of these sort of bendy, rubbery, plasticky erasers, that's what we want. So let's go. So let's try on our H. Can we get rid of our H pencil? Right. We can get rid of our H pencil. Try and do a little zoom in here. But it's scored the paper, so let's go along. So because where we've pressed really hard, it's actually scratched into the paper. So let's try our F and our HB pencils. Okay, so these are starting to move. Now you can see that actually where I've pressed really hard with the HB, it's started to stain the paper. So I'm going to struggle to get that out completely, but I can lift it out nice and clean, and I haven't got any scratches or anything into the paper. So let's try the B. Very nice there. Actually, it looks like I maybe didn't press as hard with the B as I did with the HB. It's not quite as dark. And it's getting it out nice and clean. Let's try our 2B. Is that going to come out as clean? Okay, definitely getting some staining, but I've got a nice crisp mark here where I've pressed lighter. Oh man, look at that, our HB really staining. Let's try our 4B. Oh, right, so now we're not going to get this out of the paper. It's going to be here forever. Let's try our 6B. Oh, really pressing hard here. Okay, and let's try our 9. So where I press super light, it's kind of coming out, but I'm really pressing hard here. Okay, and because I've got all that graphite, I'm actually starting to smudge it as well. So I'm not even lifting it off the paper, I'm smudging it around. Okay, so you can see that when we've got our rubber and we want to rub away any of the initial marks that we've made, that our 6H is scratching into the paper. So there's, although we lift the pencil mark out, the lead out, what we actually leave is the mark that we scratched into the paper. So we need to be careful of pressing really hard there. As we start going up through the B's, actually we can't even get our marks out properly. So what does this tell us? So if we want to do just general drawing, we want to sketch something out because we want to do a watercolour on top of it, we don't want to go up here because we're going to get all that graphite and all that dirty dust all in our watercolours. If we just want to draw a picture out because we want to do something with it, we want to paint over the top of it, we want to create a design that we can use, we want to use it somewhere else, we want to transfer it, we just want to create a sketch, then actually here is where we want to be. Yeah. Now, I don't think I would go down to 2H. I think that's a little bit scratchy for me. It doesn't glide across the surface enough for me. But be careful that you don't start going up here. Now, I know a lot of people go, oh, a sketching pencil for drawing, 2B. But if you're a heavy-handed person, you are not going to be able to rub that out. Okay. So if we choose these ones here, very fine scratchy marks. Now for me personally, I would say this here is much more technical drawing, architectural drawing, being very precise, where you need to do drawings that are actually measurements are going to be taken off by the millimetre as such. So technical drawing here. Okay, this is our sketching pencils. Okay, now this section here. And I think, let's use a rubber here. I think we could probably bring that across a bit more into the B's. So this here, this is when we want to add tones. Okay, so when we want to create a picture where the whole thing is with the drawn pencil, where we want to smudge the graphite, we want to use our mark making. And we'll have a look at that, but this is when you want to create a picture that is just with pencil. You're going to add those different tones in. But for regular sketching, let's stay around that HB. Now, if you prefer to move it that way, or that way, then go for it, but just remember, don't be too heavy-handed here. So I know some people would like me to include that one in. Let's put a question mark there. So it's up to you whether you want to include the 2B in your sketching pencil. Now, for those people that are excellent at sketching and don't ever need to use a rubber, then you can use whatever you want because you don't need to rub it out. Me personally, I think HB and B is where I'm going to stick, because I know that as long as I'm not too heavy-handed, I can get the rubber on there, I can get a nice clean mark, I can go back to my nice clean paper and start again. The other thing that I can do as well is that my pencil, because it's slightly crumbly, it's got a little bit more graphite in, it just glides across the paper nicely. Let's take our HB. Yeah, I've got a nice glide across the paper. So there we go. Graphite pencils.